Street address?
5 Ashley Lane.
Warden, I object on the basis that she is not of age to vote.
So we had the case where a girl come in, looked pretty young.
So is that a reasonable suspicion if somebody appears to be underage to vote?
If the voter appears to be underage, you're going to make sure that, first of all, she's registered to vote and she is 18 years old on the day of voting.
Okay, that's reasonable. Oh, hello, street address, please,
29 Main Street.
and your name?
Amy Johnson.
Warden, I object. I request an ID check.
Oh, it's in the car.
That was different.
I wonder if she was really Amy.
I wonder if she's coming back. You had a voter come in who was just looking around really fidgety, not what I would do if I went to vote.
So somebody might be nervous when they came in, but that would be something you'd want to observe and base an objection based upon whether they look suspicious.
If the voter is suspicious, there's right to make an objection. More than likely, the person will be given a provisional ballot and would be allowed to vote.
So even if somebody didn't know their own address and read it off a piece of paper, they'd still be allowed to vote and they'd go to verify it later.
That's correct.
Well, at least there's a procedure.
Not in every state.
Street address.
29 Main Road.
Name.
Marie Rowland.
Warden, I object. Marie is 84 years old.
So we had a case where a lady came in to vote for somebody that was a lot older than she was.
And you're not allowed to vote for somebody else, even if it's legitimate that that person couldn't make it to the poll that day.
Proxy voting is not legal. The voter must appear in person at the polls, or they must request an absentee ballot.
So if they can't make it on the last day, they're just not allowed to send their daughter in to vote for them. Somebody else.
No. You lose that time.
Street address.
Please take it from the ID.
Thank you very much.
You had a voter come in, just showed their ID.
That made everything so much simpler for the poll workers and everybody else.
That's the way it should be.
So simple.
Street address. Sorry, this is the wrong precinct.
Oh, you can use this one.
Warden, I object on the basis of multiple addresses.
Oops.
So you had a voter come in, gave a utility bill, but it was the wrong precinct,
And then had another utility bill
in a different pocket.
for a different precinct.
At this point, an objection should be made, the warden should be notified, and the voter would take a provisional ballot.
Even though it would seem to be pretty clear that it was somebody who was voting in multiple places.
It'd be easier if you had a picture on your ID, don't you think?
Would be so simple.
That's the way it should be.
Street address.
24 Maple.
Thank you. Here's your ballot. Street address.
17 Elm Street.
Warden, I object on the basis that this person has voted earlier.
You need to see the warden. He's sitting over there. And that man has been here already, we think.
So you had a voter come in, he gave his ID, everything matched,
It's so simple.
the way it should be.
Except that he came back later and tried to vote again.
So the observer objected to the warden that he had voted earlier.
So you need to really pay attention when you're watching.
Just because somebody changes a jacket or wears a different hat doesn't mean they get to vote again.
Even though they give a different address. It's
Or have a different ID.
it's voter fraud.
Hi, Mom. Street address?
It's the same as yours, but please check my ID. Thank you.
It's kind of funny when the mom come in, the daughter got to call the shots, huh?
And even though she clearly knew where she lived and who she was, she followed the correct procedure. And the mother wanted to show an ID, which is great, because now we can see that that's the way it should be.
It's so simple.
It's the way it should be.
Street address, please.
I don't know.
I need a street address.
I haven't needed a street address on the other times I voted today.
Warden, I want to object to this voter because he's voted previously.
You know, the problem is however many times he voted, they already count. Listen, I need an ID with your street address.
Warden, I want to object to at least this vote.
You know, this is why you have to show ID to vote. So you had a guy come in, and when you asked for a street address, he had already said he voted many times.
Without ever giving an address, just going in and saying, I want to vote.
Or an ID.
At this point, the observer must object at least to this time voting because the other votes have already counted.
That's a shame, because you can't get them back.
No, those votes have already counted.
If he'd shown an ID, it would have been so simple.
It's the way it should be.
Street address?
Do you know who I am?
You still need to answer the question.
Well, here, check my ID.
Okay, here, Tom, thank you.
I knew you knew me. You had a voter come in and, you know, do you know who I am? I can't imagine who he was.
Even if you know somebody, you still have to follow procedures for doing identification.
And you never can tell. If you know somebody, there might be somebody in line that doesn't have an ID that suddenly leaves.
Just seeing the ID process go on would make somebody who wasn't legitimate a little more nervous,
Yeah. It's so simple to show your ID.
the way it should be.